Donna, going back to when Pat Leonard says, okay, I want you to go audition for, like, there were a couple of singers who were hired. They weren't working out. You see Madonna for the first time. So this is 1987. Who's That Girl era Madonna. What is she looking like? What do you remember anything she's wearing? Like, just what did even her hair, what color was the hair? And also, what did you sing? Like, what was the audition song?
Yeah, well, at the time, they don't realize like there was no social media or anything. So the image you have of someone was from their last video, So I somehow was thinking like how she looked when she did the Material Girl video or something like that. So I was up in this loft and they met us as they always do. Wait, wait, wait. The band that was there was incredible. They were all set up. Luis Conte had his amazing percussion set up, and I think when we walked in, they were playing, and I was just blown away by the sound of the music, all live music. So we went up there, we're waiting, and I'm looking over the railing because we're in this loft, and it's like, all singers stay up there in the loft, And I look down and I'm like, I don't see her anywhere. And you hear like, she's here, and I'm looking down and I'm like, I don't see her. And then I'm like, wait. And there was this little person with short hair and little like John Lennon glasses and little suit. And I was like, wow, she's small,
That's what I was thinking
the
too.
first time seeing someone, they look
child.
so different. And I was like, wow. And I heard her voice, I was like, oh, that's her. And then at that point, it's like, let's get going. And, so they start bringing us down in groups of 3. And I got to sing with the band, and it was amazing. We did La Isla Bonita. But it's always difficult to sing with people you don't know in unison, especially that part. For some reason, where it is in my range, that, La Isla Bonita. So we all had to do that together. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, like we are not sounding good at all. And I think the girls on my side they were bigger than me. I felt like they were ruining it for me, I'm like, God, if I could just sing with her. So Pat stops. Everybody stop. Just Donna and Madonna sing the bridge. And I was like, thank you. So I sang it, and I'm pretty sure she had her back where she couldn't see me singing. And at one point she's like, why aren't you singing? And then he said to her, she was singing it. And you guys, he's like, that's what I told you about Donna. You guys would blend so perfectly, because he knew my voice so well, and he knew it would sound great with hers. So that, that helped. But I still had to keep coming back and auditioning like every day. It seemed like that whole week. Then I had to come back, and Shabadoo was like, but can you dance and everything? So funny. Shabadoo and
deep
Angel.
cut.
They were in the tribe, and they're like, who's this new girl? What can she do? So it wasn't just Madonna checking me out. It was like the whole clan, and I had to just go. I felt like I just had to keep proving myself. When Niki came in, it was definitely like, we're going. I remember them asking Niki, can you do this? Can you do that? And I just remember Niki being like, yeah.
And Niki,
like, yes, I can.
Niki, were you a trained dancer as well?
I was a cheerleader and a gymnast, and so I could move. And I'm a Black girl from Detroit. I know how to move. Of course. And the moves.
Yeah, but you were doing like turns. Yeah.
Yeah. The moves, and especially, and I grew up on Shabadoo. So, I remember Shabadoo, back when Soul Train was still in Chicago. So I knew all his moves. I knew everything. I could do all his stuff. Sleeping. I could do it, in my sleep. And I think, more than anything, it was fitting in the costume. I just wanted to make sure I could fit into the costume, because they were like latexy, leathery dresses that you had to zip up.
Ashy lingerie.
Yeah, and everything was like bustier, and it's all stuff that it wasn't really not my thing. But I was not even so much paying attention to her, but I was paying to who I could tell was definitely influencing her vibe, which was Debi Mazar. See, for me, Debi Mazar was the person I was like, whoever that chick right there is, that's who I'm like.
Because she was doing her makeup. She was doing her makeup for the tour.
Her makeup, her hair, and for me, it's like, that's the vibe. That's those cute little black pants that were like, angled and cut at the bottom with the little black boots. That's all Debi. To me, it's like, okay, this is Brooklyn. This is Brooklyn. She's been my
She was
sister
like
ever
on
since. She's
it
so
all.
cool.
Yeah, and she knew all the, I mean, the makeup and the styling and like, do you remember like I remember the Shiseido red matte lipstick, and we had to like,
Right.
go to
Then it moved
Japan
to
basically.
moved to Russian red. It had to be Russian red. And I was like,
And it was
okay.
very specific. Yeah.
Hmm.
Lots of fun times. We had a good time with her in Amsterdam one day, eating some hash
Uh-oh.
brownies and going to see Anne Frank house. So
I'm
that was
leaving that one
that was,
alone.
Appropriate.
no, we actually were going to have to do our laundry.
Yeah. We went to go do our laundry, and before I knew it, we were, in Anne Frank's house, high on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Not a good thing.
So you complete the Who's That Girl tour. This takes you around the world. And then Madonna goes off to do her other stuff. Did you think, okay, that was great. That was an experience. Like, at what point, what is the phone call like where you both get the call that, like, oh, no, she actually wants you to be in the recording studio to record Like a Prayer and a few songs on that album? Like, how were you taken aback by that?
For me, no, because at that point, we were hanging. Madonna and I were hanging a lot, and Pat, we were always going over to the studio on Hollywood Way, so working out stuff. So I knew we were in, and by the time we moved to the second tour, it was just the two, Don and I, and that's when I was like,
for Blonde and oh, no, I'm sorry, for Who's That Girl, the other leg of it.
yeah. Well,
I remember getting called for the MTV Awards.
Right.
And that I just very specifically remember it's just going to be, her management said it's just going to be you and Niki. That's what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants you one on each side. And then when we went in and started rehearsing that performance, I really something really clicked. It's like, wow, the three of us together. It was powerful. And that song was such a great
I just knew too.
For me,
by then too, I had stayed with Deb, for several months in New York, and I'd been there recording other stuff and like working on other projects, but I always would stay with Debbie. And I started getting into the club situation and hanging out a lot. And that's why we ended up doing those Vogue moves way before we ever did the song Vogue. That's why it was on that MTV award show. Is because I came back and I had seen these guys at 3 or 4 in the morning. And this is before I met Jose and any of them. But I just saw them doing those kind of moves. And I was like, this would be so cool. And we worked it all out together in that little studio right off of Sunset Boulevard in Gower, and just went through it. And it worked out so good. And Rolling Stones considers it one of her best performances ever.
You're referring to the Express Yourself performance at the VMAs, where it is just the three of you. There are no dancers. Maybe there's a band back there, but it is truly, the performance is the three of you, and it's just singing and dancing. There's no distraction. It's just pure. And yeah, that performance is emblematic a little bit of what the Blonde Ambition tour would become. Yeah.
Right.
But
I remember us doing the Running Man and thinking, because it was like, oh, this is so Bobby Brown, but it's like, it was the move of the all that. I was like, okay, the Roger Rabbit and all these dances we were doing, and it was like, okay, it's cool, but we're doing it in suits. Okay, it was like, for me.
But you're right.
Like,
you do. That is where maybe you first debuted, or Madonna first debuted some of the actual voguing.
All the voguing, all that stuff. All those poses.
Everyone has
stuff.
to look up that video.
I love the mic in the bra.
Oh, remember that?
Ding, the best.
Ding, slowly, the deep plie. Slowly put
and
the
it was
mic
so.
in.
It was so, to me as a young woman, and it was so empowering and sensual. There was such a feeling, and I have this overall feeling. My whole experience with Madonna was feeling the power of what you could tap into as that divine female energy. And at that time, she was just, she was ballsy and confident and, and everything. And to be near that energy, and Niki had a lot of that energy as well. For me, I always felt like I was more shy, but to be that person on stage feeling that strength. It was so powerful. And just like, if I watch little clips of that, it's just wow.
Just her saying, "Come on, girls." For me, I'm like, "Do you believe in love?" I'm like, "Come on, absolutely." I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in. Yeah.
When you went into the recording studio for the sessions the session that would become, or the sessions that would become the song Like a Prayer, did anything, like, I want to get into because you're on Vogue as well, but in Like a Prayer, did you notice like, oh, this is an elevated sound, this is something different than that she had ever done prior? Like, we're reaching, like, there is kind of like a spiritual level here where it never existed before. Like, what was those sessions like?
Well, that was all Andre Crouch choir.
Yeah.
You know, we sang it live.
On that song. We're on the album on other cuts, but on that song.
Yeah, we sang it live. For me, you know, I was still stuck in the "A Man Can Tell It." That, for me, that was the epic song, "Live to Tell." That was my epic song for her. You know, I knew once I heard "Live to Tell," I knew that, you know, to me, Like a Prayer is just an extension of that, you know, as far as that goes. And the thing that lifts it as far as song wise is the choir part, you know, but ultimately it's just Pat Leonard and his amazing songwriting, as far as I'm concerned. You know, it just, once again, it's really a very, very simple song. It's those chord changes that he chooses to use. And the lines that he's saying in there, you know, I'll go back to "Live to Tell." You know, "A man can tell 1,000 lies. I've learned my lesson well. Hope I live to tell the secrets I have learned." It's like, to me, I'm there. So Like a Prayer, "When You Call My Name," it's like a little prayer. That's nice, but it's, for me, it starts in Like a Prayer. I mean, in Live to Tell, as far as the epicness of songs.
And then "Cherish" was super sweet as well. Just once again, like that blend of all of our voices. Didn't she come out at one point and we all recorded together one of the parts? I think it was, "You give
God, You're Good.
To me, keep giving me all your joy." And usually she would just sit there in the booth and we would sing. But for some reason, Pat was like, "Go out there and sing with them," you know, something like that. And that, you can hear it on that song when we're doing that chant at the end. That part, it's pretty incredible.
When you go into the studio and hear the track of Vogue for the first time, this was entirely new ground, a new sound. Like, what was your reaction to just hearing the club track of Vogue before?
Yeah.
We knew immediately.
And then once we put our voices on, but I think after, a lot of times, you know, we're like sweetening the track, put all our voices on and harmonies and everything, and then go back into the booth and listen to it, what we had done. That's when it really hit me, how big it was. Well, and once the vocals were on, it just got even more expansive. And
for me, it was the groove. The groove, I was like, no matter what you do, this song's a hit. It's good, because you can, once again, especially in the world of, like, as we love to do, Donna, the mashups, that groove is so amazing. You can mash that into any, and it's so classic house.
And
I love house.
Talk to me about filming the video. You're with David Fincher. Like, were you surprised? Because this was your first video. You would go on to be in the music video as well, nearly a decade later. But were you surprised? Like, oh my God, we're going to be in the video for Vogue? Or at this point, is it just, oh, we're friends with Madonna, we're in with Debi Mazar? Like, we're no longer surprised about anything.
Well, for me, I wasn't surprised, because by then we were rehearsing for the Blonde Ambition tour, and I was like, there's no way she cannot do this video without all of us. It's like, I remember us starting to choreograph and do that stuff, and I was like, she's got to have these boys. First of all, they are like giving it a whole nother level. I feel like I learned how to re-walk. I learned how to, you know, place my body in a whole different way because of, you know, Jose and Lewis, and even Carlton, just learning how to pull in a way that I never pulled before. You know, I see pictures of us even doing, like, keep people together forever and ever. You know, that with the chairs. So we were rehearsing. So I knew by the time we did Vogue, of course we're going to be in this video.
I was so excited to be like, we got to be like at some point they were like, we're going to do these different shots and we get to be the hands and it was
I
so
remember
creative.
that.
They were like, we're going to put your hands over her face and do some shots. And now we're going to do the, Nikki and Donna back to back. And then I got to be the maid. That was super fun. Got to be
And I remember,
like a little.
I remember like thinking to myself, okay, these people really take care of themselves. And I remember it was the first time I was like, I don't get manicures and pedicure. I'm such a tomboy. I'm pulling weeds. I don't know. And they're like, put some nails on her. I was like, put some.
I remember us with our red nails.
Like put some fake nails
Nikki,
on.
I remember that.
I was like,
remember
what
that.
am I gonna do? My hands look like I have gymnastics hands. I pick corn. I've got I can't. They can't do close-ups of these ugly hands. Stick some stick-ons on her. Nightmare.
That's so fun.
Nikki, what did you
learning how to do this? It's like, what?
Nikki, tell me what you choreographed, because I know that you choreographed as well. Was there anything specific that you choreographed?
Well, I just remember bringing things to her. I choreographed this. We're going into a girly show. Girly show. The very last holiday was mine. Yeah, all the HBCU, big band, all that thumping Kappa Alpha Psi, all that was my shout out to the HBCUs. We did it before homecoming, Beyonce. Sorry, we was on it first.
Thank you for bringing Beyonce into this, because
we was on it first.
I want to say a couple things. Let's get into the Blonde Ambition tour. I want to say, I have friends who are slightly younger than me, and Lady Gaga is their number one, and I love Lady Gaga as well. However, I still think people who are in their younger 30s, like I'm 40 years old, people who are in their young to mid 30s, they do not understand that Madonna created this template of the arena show. They do not understand what the Blonde Ambition tour did for all musicians and all touring acts thereafter, forever, in perpetuity. Now, there is, of course, improving upon the book and writing your own chapter.
And because, I'm going to be really honest with you, because Madonna came from an era very much like Michael Jackson, I'm going to say this too, where they knew their history. So even if these artists now don't know their history, Michael Jackson knew his history. Madonna is a shout out to Marlene Dietrich. She's a shout out to Marilyn Monroe. She's a shout out to all. So she understood, I stand on their shoulders as well. Even though these other people might be standing on Madonna understood where she came from and understood. Michael Jackson's a shout out to Fred Astaire, for God's sake.
There's a new, have you seen, I don't know if you've seen, there's a new K-pop, this kid who does K-pop, not kid, he's like a major touring act. He came from this K-pop group, BTS. And he was just on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and he did this incredible performance. It is so clear his choreographer is utterly obsessed with Michael Jackson. He's doing Michael Jackson. Right. And I messaged my friend who told me to watch it. I'm like, do his fans know, does this kid's fans know that he's just doing Michael Jackson? Like, this isn't new in any way.
Well, and that's why it's important that, this is the era of podcasts, that we make sure that, because I was a history major in college. That's what I wanted to be a history teacher. So for me, it is so important that we recognize where look, Madonna's doing it in her show. She's singing I Will Survive, with a guitar. She's doing a shout out to that, one of the greatest songs ever written. And thank you very much for that. That is not one of her songs, but it is a shout out and an homage to those people, who came before her. She's that, I want your love, I want your, come on. All that Nile Rodgers, all that stuff, he came before her. That music came before her. So the reality is like, she was really too young to really be up in Studio 54, but she has the soul of Studio 54 in her, hence the dancing and all that stuff. But she pays homage to all those people that came before her. And I think that's a beautiful thing, as opposed to thinking that it started with Beyonce or that it started with and it's just a matter of making sure that we continue to tell the truth.